Welcome to part 2 in our series of the Wabash and Erie Canal through Gibson County. We are now visiting the town of Dongola, the first of 3 towns along the route of the canal in Gibson County.
And we are entering the town of Dongola. What's left of it anyway.
Dongola was platted to be a rather large community with this canal entering from the northeast after crossing the Patoka River aqueduct. The town was laid out in such a manner that the majority of the community sat south and west of the canal and its basin. The town was platted by William Carpenter of Evansville and Isaac Street on the 25th day of February 1851. Another Evansville resident of notoriety was the notary for this official plan. His name was Thomas E. Garvin. The town featured several city blocks and a commons area. City blocks north of the commons area were arranged parallel to the canal and areas adjacent to it. Everywhere else was laid out in a north-south manner. Streets north of Mulberry ran perpendicular to the canal. Additionally, the Evansville-Petersburg Road passed through the community and crossed the Patoka River via a covered bridge that was removed and replaced by the current iron one in 1884. In the town of Dongola, the Evansville-Petersburg Road is labeled Main Street. Today, the iron bridge that spans the Patoka River now spans the Patoka River South Fork. This is explained better in episode 1 in more detail.
The canal path continued directly behind me towards that barn, and to my northwest would have been buildings. There was a sawmill down by the river. There was an old river crossing, which is the old iron bridge. Now I'm still walking south-southwest. Not a whole lot to my east at this point until I crossed this next county road. The canal came in, if I'm not mistaken, at a 33-degree angle to the town, and then passed through the center of town and turned due west.
Looking south, you can see the hill slopes down behind the barn. Where it levels off between the barn and the house, where the driveway is today, marks the bed of the canal as it progresses southwest at a 33-degree angle from north. This marks the location of the last towpath change bridge along the canal. What is a towpath change bridge? The towpath change bridge was built to have the towpath change sides of the canal. Why did the towpath change sides of the canal? The engineers of the Wabash and Erie Canal always wanted to keep the towpath on the river side, placing the towpath between the canal bed and the river it was following. This was done because the towpath embankment was wider than the berm side by at least 2 times, and it was felt that due to its increased width, the towpath provided much better protection for the canal. So why a change bridge here? If you remember from episode 1, the canal just crossed aqueduct number 17, the Patoka River, and while the canal was in Pike County, the river was on the south and east side of the canal. But once we crossed the Patoka and entered into Gibson County, said river is now on the north and west side of the canal. Once the towpath changes sides here at Dongola, it will not need to change sides again, because once the canal moves further away from the Patoka River, it will enter the valley of Pigeon Creek, and that waterway will remain on the west and north sides of the canal, even down through Warwick and Vanderburgh counties.
We're standing really close to Mulberry Street and Main Street. Now, the county road behind me is a modern county road. It is not the original Mulberry Street. We think we know where the original Mulberry Street was, but we definitely know where the intersection was.
The canal passes through the property in front of you, over the next county road, and enters into the distant trees. In those trees, the canal turns due west. It is at this curve that the basin in Dongola was located.
I am standing at the intersection of County Roads 1200 East and 150 North. And this roadway intersection is very significant for the town of Dongola. This is the intersection of Main Street and Mulberry Street. And if you read the plat description of 1851, it uses this kind of as a base. So we know where the town sat based off of this location. And we know this location because we know where the towpath change bridge was. We know where the roadway was. We know how the canal came in. We've got all this information. If you read the plat description, though, everything's based off of the original plat location of an old oak tree that was 10 inches in diameter. There is no old oak tree anymore 10 inches in diameter. That was 1851. This is 2021. But this also has a greater significance as well. This particular intersection, this road that I am standing on that you see behind me, is very significant in the history of Indiana. This is a remnant section of the original Old Petersburg Road, or Evansville-Petersburg Road, or the 1820s Old State Road. This is the original roadway that ran from Evansville to Indianapolis. Indianapolis was being constructed when this road was being used.
Standing at the intersection of County Roads 1200 East and 150 North, this is the intersection where Mulberry Street and Main Street also intersected in the town of Dongola. Looking south at this road before you, this is all that's left of Main Street, or the Evansville-Petersburg Road. And the majority of the town was off to the west side, or the right side of your screen, and south of the tree line before you. Inside the tree line, to the right of the screen, are built-up earthworks that were utilized as the prism of the canal. On the west end of this section near Interstate 69 was the location for Culvert 198. Unfortunately, nothing is left of this culvert except for the cut in the earthworks marking its location. I will discuss culverts in more detail in a future episode. Additionally, inside the tree line on the east end is the location of the Dongola Basin, which I've already mentioned. To the south side of the canal in this area was the location of the wharfs and warehouses that were established by the cockrooms. What is a canal basin? A basin is a widening of the canal to allow the boats to pull over while maintaining two-way travel on the main channel of the canal. Some basins appear to have been built at locations where the canal narrowed that only allowed one-way traffic, such as aqueducts, locks, culverts, and road bridge crossings. These basins acted as pull-offs to accommodate passage through these narrowed features. In the case of Dongola, the basin was the location where people and goods could be loaded onto the boats for transport to their desired port of call.
We know the town of Dongola was semi-prosperous. It banked everything it had on the canal. Everything was based on the canal through here. The Cockrams, carpenters, they all betted on its future right here. And it didn't last. When the canal went defunct, the wharfs and the warehouses, they shut down. There were other ways to get commerce down to Evansville. They were using wagons to get things down there, trains. Like I said, this particular town was platted in 1851. The closest town that is still there today is Oakland City, and it was platted in 1856. A couple other little interesting tidbits about this particular section of the canal is it is on the National Registry for Historic Places. This is actually part of a National Registry Historic District. And the reason is, not only is it because of the canal, but to my north, there are two iron bridges. One was built over the original Patoka River and has recently been refurbished. And then the other one was built over Houchins Ditch. Because of those bridges and the canal, the refuge petition to have all of this area put in as a National Historic District. Another interesting fact about this area is it not only represents one time of travel and commerce in Indiana history, but it represents multiples within a short distance of each other. The original being this county road that I am standing on, 1820, the original Old State Road to Indianapolis. just to my east, by that barn, Wabash and Erie Canal. A quarter mile beyond my location here, to the east, yet again, modern day State Road 57, which was built in 1930. Until that point, they just upgraded the road that I am standing on. And then, fast forward to 2011, 2012, in the distance, modern day Interstate 69. This represents 4 different versions of commerce, time periods of commerce. Old wagon roads, canal, automobiles, to an infrastructure that is similar to Germany's Autobahn. But you want to get even more technical than that. The canal is more relatable to that interstate than this road that I am standing on. That is the true first interstate system in Indiana, the Wabash and Erie Canal.